for some states to severely restrict or ban abortions. According to Planned Parenthood, about 36 million women, trans men, and gender nonconforming people live in states with trigger laws, where abortion bans will activate as soon as an attorney general certifies a decision. Here's what you need to know about the available options for people in states with trigger laws. According to the New York Times, states like Kentucky, Louisiana, Missouri, and South Dakota will immediately allow trigger laws to go into effect. Kentucky would immediately ban abortions with no exceptions and make having them a felony. Louisiana will only permit abortions to prevent death, but rape or incest would not be an exception. South Dakota would make exceptions in life-threatening emergencies, and in states like Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, and Oklahoma, the laws can take effect within days.
We only see what's right in front of our face as taxpayers, and it's understandable. The Biden administration passing this $40 billion bill, which will, $40 billion for armaments to Ukraine, on its face seems ludicrous when you think about how many people are struggling just to put gas in their car and the various shortages. But the long game, it kind of makes sense, because here's what's going to happen if the U.S. loses its global reserve currency status. Okay, the U.S. dollar has the reserve status right now. And that means that all countries, in order to buy oil, need the U.S. dollar. So many countries buy U.S. bonds, they buy U.S. treasuries, they hold U.S. dollars because that's the global reserve currency. And because of that, the U.S. can print immense amounts of debt without ever having to deal with the monetary devaluation.
As the Ukrainians have, but the dogged resistance of the Ukrainians is largely getting this to grinding to a standstill. Although there are some horrendous casualties emerging, it's really becoming a bit of a meat grinder.
They told her to lock her up. Oh shit. They all want to go to jail. I'm convinced she got a girl in jail she's trying to go see. Oh, she spit in his face. We recording it.
It's a theoretical framework that was developed in the 1980s by legal scholars to help us understand how it is that structural and racial disparities endure in our society and how that is actually engendered in some of our laws and policies. And so the idea was to get us to think systemically, as opposed to just thinking that racism manifests by individuals just mistreating each other.
Status right now. And that means that all countries, in order to buy oil, need the U.S. dollar. So many countries buy U.S. bonds, they buy U.S. treasuries, they hold U.S. dollars because that's the global reserve currency. And because of that, the U.S. can print immense amounts of debt without ever having to deal with the monetary devaluation. That is, until it collapses. Okay, and now if it were to collapse, this $40 billion will seem like chump change. And that's the hard pill for people to swallow, is that it's likely going to collapse. But the Russians and the Chinese right now, those two countries in particular, as well as the other BRICS countries, are looking at creating their own reserve currency, and increasingly more and more people, more countries I should say, are moving to the yuan and now likely the ruble. If Russia is successful in this campaign, And that is going to, it could cause the abrupt collapse of the US dollar, losing its reserve currency status, in which case the dollar is not going to collapse altogether, but you're going to see massive inflation. I mean, inflation unlike anything you've ever seen. Inflation, like devaluation, the likes of which we just haven't seen yet.
Amazon's voice assistant known as Alexa could soon be made to mimic any voice, and that's even the voice of someone who is dead. The company is working on a way to have Alexa listen to less than a minute of a voice, and it would then start sounding like that person when responding to your questions or commands. And that means if you have a recording of someone no longer around, you can have Alexa listen and then mimic that voice.
The Supreme Court overturned Roe versus Wade, declaring that the constitutional right to abortion, upheld for nearly a half century, no longer exists. In less than 24 hours, we celebrated equal rights for women, and now we react to women's reproductive rights being taken away. Sue Bird tweeted gutted in response to the news, and LeBron James retweeted former President Barack Obama, including this: today, the Supreme Court not only reversed nearly 50 years of precedent, it relegated the most intensely personal decision someone can make to the whims of politicians, attacking the essential freedoms of millions of Americans. Josh Hart wrote, to the women in this country, I'm sorry.
gmail.com. Listen, ask yourself this, right? Why in the hell is everything around you difficult? Meaning, when it comes to the Constitution, no one knows what that shit really is. Everything that they pass, from this bill to that bill, people don't have no full understanding of what it is. 160 pages. When it comes to the Bible, people don't really understand the Bible. We're talking about key things, right? That is very important in our lives. People don't have a clue. Think about what I'm saying. The Bible is written in parables, symbolic. A lot of people don't understand how to break it down. Why does everything have to be decoded? It is put that way for a reason.